All right, we are live.
She's hungry.
All right.
Cookie. I really want a cookie
It
now.
is 10:31, January 18th. We're here for the Green Bay Housing Authority January meeting. So let's get things started. We've got roll call. Item number 1 is approval of the November 14, 2017 minutes of the Green Bay Housing Authority. Those documents, the minutes are in your packet. Are there any additions, corrections, modifications? Hearing none, is there a motion to approve?
I'll make that motion.
And I will second it. So we have a motion and a second. Any questions or discussion? Otherwise, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Any communications that have come in?
No, sir.
No communications. Very good. Item number 2, consideration with possible action regarding discussions from the City of Green Bay Finance Committee meetings and the pilot paid to GBHA, or paid by GBHA to the City of Green Bay. So any follow-up on that?
I think just what's in the packet provides a summary. And we as staff have considered what we could do, and we've also talked to HUD about what we can do. And basically HUD says we can pay as much as we want in the pilot, not to exceed the amount that we would be taxed if they
Okay.
were,
Mhm.
if they were taxable properties.
Okay.
So what we did, and this is in your packet too, is we took the HUD formula, and normally, near the bottom, line 15, normally it says 10% of line 8 or line 13, whichever is applicable, and we played with the percentages to get that number as close to, but not exceeding, the full property taxes.
Okay.
And so we've come to 35% would be that percentage.
Okay. And when we had talked about this before, there was a possibility that some of this was subject to being reimbursed in some form or another.
It's reimbursed through our operating amounts that they get, but I can't tell you with HUD's matrix of all matrices, I can't tell you what that would equate to.
Sure.
It would just be an expense that we would portion out on that line, and then it's part of the calculation for what we get reimbursed.
So the expense would go up, and then a portion of the reimbursement would also go up?
Yep, because it looks at the full expense of the program, so
Sure.
that would just make the expense of the program greater.
Okay.
So it doesn't mean that
We'll get that,
the
all that money
renters,
back.
well, it doesn't mean the renters are being
No.
charged more, it just means that we're being paid more, we're paying, taking more out of our operating budget.
It's that we
to pay.
have an
Okay.
expense, and so with the
Okay.
rents, what we get in from rents, what we would need to make the program whole would be greater. So
Okay.
then that's what HUD looks at.
Great, thanks.
Right. Has the finance committee been made aware of this yet?
No, we told them we'd go back.
Okay.
Once the housing
Okay.
authority met. So
Right.
we'll be on the next finance committee.
All right. Yeah, let me know what that is, and I would
Yes.
be happy to attend.
And I would-
So do we need a motion then to implement this? All right, I will make that motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay. Any further questions or discussion? All right, then all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. And then again, just let us know when that finance committee is, and
Yep.
we
I think
will
it's
have to
January
be there.
30th.
What's that?
I think it's January 30th.
30th? Okay.
And is it the normal time?
4:30.
Yep.
Depends what's first.
Yeah, it depends upon what's
You never
first.
do that.
Okay.
Okay. Moving on, item number 3, new business. Item number 3, consideration with possible action on writing off year-end delinquent tenant accounts.
And usually we do this twice a year, usually in December, but they are in your packet, and what this is these are people that have moved out and owe the GBHA money, and they are more than 30 days old, so I usually write them out of the system. I still collect them, and I go after people for the money and put them in TRIP, but I do not carry them in the system because it reflects poorly on our receivables.
Okay.
Okay. All right, I will move to approve the write-offs as set forth on the attachment in the packet. Is there a second?
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion or questions? Otherwise, hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Very good. Number 4, consideration with possible action on amending GBHA budget to allow an interim position to become a permanent part-time position.
That's
Intern.
Intern.
Intern, yes.
So currently and historically, we have employed a part-time intern. Recently, when our intern was only able to work a limited number of hours per week, I started looking into hiring a different intern, and it just proved to be kind of a laborious process of, going through the process of rehiring, recruiting, interviewing, training. And in discussing it with Cheryl, we thought we had the idea of, well, what if we look at making this a permanent position? It'd still be part-time, but at least being permanent, we would hope to have somebody who would be able to stick around longer than an intern would. So that's what we've been exploring. We haven't yet begun the discussions with Human Resource Department as far as where they would fall in the salary ranges, but we kind of estimated for our own purposes where we thought it might fall. And based on that, we determined that it would be an increase of about $8,532 per year to do that.
So this is a paid intern.
Correct.
Having a son who's been an intern for most of his life and never gotten paid for
Yeah.
it, I gotta ask.
And it's always been a
It's a paid internship
Yeah.
now.
Yes.
It's just more of a permanent.
Right.
It's not really an intern, it's a part-time position.
Part-time, I was just gonna say.
So there's no schooling related to the position.
Right.
Sure,
otherwise.
okay. Okay. So we're just, at this point, we don't have anybody in mind, but we're just looking to amend the budget to allow for it?
Yes, and I guess part of the concern that I have is this position comes out of the central office cost center because they are working, almost exclusively for the central office cost center. And as you know, the central office cost center is separate from the Mason
Sure.
Dixon budget,
Mhm.
separate
Sure.
from the scatter site. And I looked at it, we actually don't have 8,000 extra in that budget. But if you, as a committee, believe this is something that, you really want to see happen, then we could, see what other areas of the budget we might be able to cut down on to make it happen.
And where would that come from? Where do you think that Stephanie would come from?
At this point, I'm not quite sure. And right now, with our budget, occupancy hurts the COCC budget. The more vacancies, the less money the
Correct.
COCC
Yep.
gets. So we're budgeting with full capacity, which will reduce that also. I'm just, offhand, we don't really have a big budget in there, but we do have a reserve. So COCC has a reserve, so it's not like they don't have money.
Right.
It's just that if we try to balance our budget, we would be using reserves. And I don't really see, we don't overinflate numbers in our budget, so it's not like, oh, we can just take it from, we overestimated
Over
our
here.
office supplies, we'll just take it from that. We don't do that.
How much is in the reserves? that we
The
can draw
reserves,
from?
we had moved $300,000 out of there a couple of years ago into revenue bonds, but I do believe that there's still $60,000 or $70,000.
There'd be enough to cover this year at least, and
Yes.
then in the budget, we'd look at how we budget that next year.
Yep.
Well, and this would have to go through personnel as well, to figure out,
Sure.
they're gonna wanna put
That's
that in
what I was
some
thinking, yeah.
JDQ process, so
Mhm. Okay.
probably don't know what that amount's gonna be at this point.
And that we had used an old number from a long time ago, is what we kind of used for a basis, and depending on what because some of those job duties that were in that old thing are now split between other responsibilities, so it might be less, it might be more, depending on.
I think what I'd do is make a motion to just authorize staff to continue to explore.
Yeah,
Yep.
I was
That's what I was
just
gonna
gonna say.
suggest.
There's too many
Yeah, we can bring
variables
it
out
back,
there to
yep.
approve anything yet, so that's my motion to authorize staff to continue to explore this internship position.
As part-time,
Yeah.
I mean, as a
As a
part-time
part-time.
permanent. Yeah. And I would second that.
Any further questions or discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Very good. Item number 5. Consideration with possible action regarding GBHA joining the redevelopment authority of the city of Green Bay and other interested housing authorities in Brown County to conduct a county-wide affirmatively furthering fair housing AFFH assessment.
That's not difficult to say. I say all
Well,
the
it-
time,
it-
preventively furthering for housing.
It just looks unusual when it's in the
Yeah.
middle of a
It's all
sentence.
together, right.
So, as the cover sheet explains, affirmatively furthering fair housing is, it's not really new, but HUD is taking a stronger stance on ensuring communities take necessary actions to further fair housing efforts. And they are now going to be requiring a very detailed assessment of the community. It gets into a lot of detail, a lot of depth. I've watched a webcast that they had, and it's very detailed. And most housing authorities do not have the expertise nor the time to do it, so a lot of housing authorities would be contracting this out. HUD has further strongly encouraged housing authorities and other entities that are required to do this to form a partnership, a consortium, to do it jointly for their community. So in our community, for example, the redevelopment authority is required to do the same AFFH process. So we would definitely, look at partnering with the redevelopment authority, and we've also begun conversations with other housing authorities, specifically Pulaski and De Pere housing authorities, because we're looking at this being for the Brown County
Oh,
area.
okay, good.
So basically, at this point, we're looking for your approval to be part of that consortium, to do it together with these other entities, however many of them wish to
Okay.
join.
So there's no issue with us from the city doing this on a county-wide basis?
No.
No, okay.
They are.
Looking
willing
outside
to
the
do that.
boundaries.
Is the county housing authority also getting involved with the,
Yes, yep, they did approve that at their last December meeting. in fact.
this seems like it would be good data to have.
I agree.
Regardless, right? I mean, like.
And you don't want to recreate everybody doing their own, so it would be nice to have it all at once.
Handy
Can I mean-
information to have to discuss a
Mhm.
pilot with
Yeah, I agree.
So just to throw this in, and I don't know if Krista Cisneros, who's our block grant coordinator for the city, shared this with you, but the president has put kind of
They
a
put a hold
potential
on it.
hold on this project. So HUD is now in a holding pattern on whether or not they're going to require municipalities to do this.
Oh,
That being said, our discussions with the city is that we would still like to do, we still have to update our fair housing portion of our block grant. So we still think it would be a good idea to do some type of a study. Minimally within the city of Green Bay, I think it'd be better for the county, but to get that data, which I don't think we have right now.
I
Right?
mean, this is statistical information affirming why we do what we do, right?
Right,
Why-
it is,
Why wouldn't
it
we
is.
want this?
Well, this process would be an RFP process that could be $60,000 or $70,000. It's a very, very large.
And so that's why combining,
And that's
the
why
cost
everyone,
would be
we thought we'd
lower.
combine
Yeah.
that. So, I mean, it'd be great if we could get, the support of the housing authority to do this study or a study, and then we can just come back and give you an update on
Sure.
where that stands.
Sure. Okay.
Because I think it's important for us to have that data.
Yeah, I agree.
We need to do it for block grant purposes
And I
anyway,
think
but.
when I talked to Krista, she was thinking, well, they might not have to do this one. They should really update a different one, which could be less, which would be nice,
Yeah.
but still give a lot of good information that kind of deals with the same sort of information.
And the same is true for housing authorities. HUD has told us, regardless of what happens with this particular AFFH policy that HUD has, housing authorities are still under the obligation to do some sort of affirmatively
Oh, sure.
furthering fair
Mhm.
housing efforts, so.
I would make a motion to
Okay.
approve joining the other parties in Brown County to conduct a countywide AFFH.
So we have a
That's how
motion,
you do
is
it.
there a second?
I'll second
We have a second. Any further questions or discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Hi.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Very good, thank you. Item number 6, consideration with possible action on approval of audited financial reports, and you have that from Hawkins Ash. Anything of significance in here that we should look at, that you're aware of? And we just got these today, so I haven't had a chance to look at them.
Just a point of interest, if you look at page 6 on the bottom, it does show that from last year to this year, we did decrease our cash reserves, which would be our equity, by $356,000. And a large portion of that would be, we had the remodel, which was a large portion. We had bed bugs, which was a lovely portion. So there were some significant things that happened in the prior year that I think really contributed to that. So I just wanted to kind of point that out so you don't freak out. Yep, we knew that was going to happen.
I guess, is there a need to get this approved today?
Where are we
Or that
at?
is
January? No, we're fine. We can do it, we can push it to February, but it would have to be approved by the end of March because I'm required.
Okay.
Oh, we got plenty of time then.
Yeah.
Well, I'm
But I
just
don't-
thinking, we
we
just
have-
got these today, and I'd
Yeah,
like to
okay.
take a look at them and then come back with questions next month, so we can just put it on as old business for next month, and then you can.
Yep, and that's fine.
That'll give us a chance to study it.
Yeah, because I don't think we normally get them in February, so we did, I did push for a little bit earlier this year, so.
All right, so I will make a motion to table until next month. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Motion and a second. Any further questions or discussion? All right, hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Then we're moving on to financial reports and bills. Consideration with possible action on acceptance of GBHA bills, and that is in your packet. Stephanie, anything exciting in here that we should be aware of?
Well, they're bills, so they're not really exciting.
Well, it's money going out the door, so it's got some interest.
There really wasn't anything out of the ordinary, it's just a lot of the same things. We did have a couple of stoves and refrigerators that didn't get Mason Manor that, you know, but otherwise it was a lot of the same.
Yes, I didn't see anything that was different, or that jumped out at me, that's why I asked. Okay. Any questions? Otherwise, is there a motion to approve?
I'll make that motion.
And we have a second. Any further questions, discussion, consideration? Not hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much. Item number 8, consideration with possible action on acceptance of GBHA financial report. Also in your packet.
You still have smiley faces? So we're moving through the year, we're a little over halfway, so things are just, you know, now we're picking up the winter stuff that we, you know, hadn't been doing, and all the fall stuff is on hold, so with not too much snow so far this year, it's kind of been a little bit better, but.
Mm-hmm.
One thing to note that we will notice an increase because we did have one of our longtime employees retire, which means that we do have to pay out those compensated absences, so that will be a big jump in our next.
Okay. I was just, that's what's gonna be a question, did we hire, so, yeah.
Interviewing tomorrow.
Good.
Ah,
They're
yeah.
around,
Oh,
Okay.
then trouble.
I betcha.
All right, administrators report and informational. Oh, wait a minute, I'm sorry, we need to approve 8 first. Is there a motion to approve the financial report?
I'll make that motion.
And I will second it. Any further questions or discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Now on to number 9. Results of lead-based paint testing on 20 scattered site units.
So you will recall, we talked about this several months ago, that we had to have 20 units tested for lead-based paint. That testing has been completed. The results indicate that 6 of them had a presence of lead-based paint. Of those 6, only 1 required abatement action, and that is because lead-based paint is not considered hazardous unless it's chipping or peeling. So there was only one that had chipping or peeling paint, and the rest of them are appropriately abated by being covered with, paint that is in good condition. So that has been taken care of, and no further action is needed on the others.
Just kind of diverging off topic here slightly, but this is I'll put my Green Bay Water Commission hat on. Do we have any of our scattered site properties that had lead in the pipes that had to be replaced?
We
We would have
tested all
gotten a
of
notice.
them. Yeah, it was the summer that I came on. So not this past summer, but the summer before, we tested all the water.
Okay.
We had one that had higher levels, that was it.
But did you get a notice from the water utility that said that we had lead pipes? Because I think notices went out on
Yes.
properties that had that lead
We've
connection.
never received a notice.
There is a couple of issues. There's one with, there's an issue with lead on the public side
Yep.
where it
Correct.
runs
And
from the
then,
main
yes.
to the, essentially to the curb.
Mhm.
And then there's from the curb to the house,
Right.
and then potentially into the house.
Mhm.
And so the city was able to identify pretty clearly all of those from the main
The
to the,
city.
to the street, to the
Mhm.
water utility, but there were a lot of them that they couldn't determine from the street to the house, because those were all on private property. And so they did some inspections, but they had, based on neighborhoods and so forth, they kind of had a list of where they anticipated they might be, and that's where those notices went out, so.
Right.
And it was odd in that some of, where you'd think they're older neighborhoods, but there weren't any. And then there were some newer neighborhoods, brand-new neighborhoods, but relatively new neighborhoods where there was lead in both the street, public and the private side, and odd ones where there'd be one on a block with private lead pipes in. But it came when people maybe did some remodeling, back in the 60s or the 70s. And then there was also some that when they actually got into the house to look, they had the old copper piping with lead solder in them.
Yeah, right.
So.
Delicious.
Yes, yes. I grew up in a house like that, so. So anyway, I just was curious if we had any properties that had to be abated in some fashion or redone, put new piping in.
I think Nighthold tested positive, but then that property was sitting vacant for so long, so then we retested it once we got the water flowing. And I
Okay.
think it was when we had the copper pipes and the lead.
Yeah.
Solder.
Solder, yeah.
Yep.
I'm wondering if we did those when the original remodels were done, because it was such an extensive remodel. If we
It is
redid that
possible,
line-
yeah. It could, very,
On the
very
private
possible,
side.
yeah. Because by that time, they probably would have known that, stay
Mm-hmm.
away from lead-based solder and those kinds of things.
Mm-hmm.
And that was when.
Well, in University Avenue, all of those, I'm suspecting, had the pipes replaced,
Yeah.
because they were moved back.
Moved back.
Right.
And the street was replaced, so I'm
Right.
thinking that's.
And then they would have
Then
gone
something like
with
that,
either,
there's some-
depending on the year, they would have gone with PVC if it was newer, or they would have gone with galvanized stuff if it was a little later, so.
Are you guys doing some diligence on notifications, or is there some legitimate concern? Not
No,
that-
I
not
mean,
that
I
it's
just.
Housing authority problem, I'm just curious.
Yeah, no, the real reason I asked is when the lead came up, it just occurred to me that I never recalled seeing anything where we got notice or we had to do anything, so, but the water utility they had federal and state funding, and they did a lot of testing and.
And replacing,
And
they're still
replacing.
replacing. That's
Yes.
where all those little squares in the street when you're driving.
Yeah. And there was actually some state funding provided for the private side, so that people could get and the city essentially picked up all the costs. There's a time limit on it, and that's the other thing that struck me, is that I think that that time limit is coming up soon to where the funding is done. But I know from just at the last water commission meeting, they were a little bit, because of weather issues and things and some other things, they were a little bit behind this last quarter on getting done, so.
So are you saying that it was the water utilities responsibility for even finding out if it was from the curb to the house?
Yes,
Oh, I didn't know
yeah.
that.
But they had to have access to your property to do that.
Right.
Because they could tell by looking where it came in from the ground, where, the
Right.
water pipe came in, they could tell what was likely in there.
Okay.
I mean, even my
Didn't know
old
that.
office building down here, we didn't have
Before
any
you
problems
got
because the
here,
pipes had been
we had
replaced
it
back
to
in
enter
the
a-
sixties. And they
Okay,
were,
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
It was, what's his name?
so they would have, you would have gotten notice that they wanted to inspect your property. if they-
Oh, and they
It's
didn't.
their pipe right up until your meter, which is probably in the basement.
Oh, yeah, it is.
What is
Yeah.
his name?
So,
Okay.
so
It's not-
there's the main to the valve, which is the little 8-inch cover that you mow your grass over
Yeah.
all the time.
Right,
And then
yeah.
there's the pipe from the valve to your Palmer valve on the inside, which
Right.
is when you start paying for it.
Yeah.
So it's
Okay.
their pipe all
Oh,
the
I
way
did not know that.
And there's, so, yeah, there was.
I have a little dent where that pipe goes in my
Right.
lawn,
But
but.
yeah, there was some pipes that went from the main in the street to that valve that were lead, and then there was some that went from that valve to the house that were lead, and then there were some that were lead in the house.
Right.
And how would they know that?
Well, they can, when they check your meters,
Mhm.
they were also inspecting,
The pipes leading to those
the
meters.
pipes, yeah, so they,
So they would have had to have,
Access to the inside of the house.
Right.
okay, yeah, which
Right.
nobody did, so it must not have been suspected
Right,
in my area.
right.
Oh, I was
Yeah,
just
that's-
wondering. I
they
didn't
have-
realize that was their responsibility. Okay.
they had, we're getting off topic here, but
Yes,
they
we are.
had the authority by their ability to inspect your meters,
Mm-hmm.
to go into your house. And so when they were in, and, it's every so many years, they have to check your meters to make sure they're still running
Okay.
properly, even if they're on the outside.
Yeah.
They still have to get in the inside to see if you haven't,
Tampered
bypassed
into
it.
bypassed it or something. So when they were doing that, they were also checking the types of pipes that you had.
Okay.
I mean, it's beyond me, but the guys tell me that it's pretty obvious. You could tell when you look at the pipe what it is.
Okay. Well,
It
thanks.
might be
Thanks.
worth sending the list of our addresses to the water utility to check them.
I was just gonna say,
They
that's
check online, they have a
surprising.
map
Do they have a
online.
map
Yep.
online?
Yes.
It might be worth it to do that, just in case, like in the transition between positions, or if they're, you know what I mean?
Yes. Mhm.
Because a lot of these scattered sites are in those neighborhoods. that
And
might go out.
if you see one that's potentially a question, call Brian Pohl over at the water utility as well.
Hmm.
Double check it
Brian.
for you. Pohl, P-O-E-L, I think.
Got it.
All right, sorry for the,
Yeah, but that's, I would have wondered that too, if any of the sites were, but I'd never thought about bringing that up.
all right, so back to our agenda item, lead-based paint testing. Is there a motion to accept and place on file?
I'll make that motion.
And I will second. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item number 10, Langen report for October, November, and December of 2017. And that is in your packet.
Yeah, if you have any questions, I'll field those questions.
It seems like we're having less need for investigations, which is great. I mean, that was a lot of applications.
There
Only
is-
one active.
There's one active, is that the same one that's carrying fee for all 3 months?
Sure.
Yes.
Okay.
Jim Swanson retired, and Dave Schmitz, I believe he was a community police officer, just retired, and now he's back on with Langen.
Okay.
Oh, that's good.
Yep, so he's replaced, so Jim is gone with Langen.
Yeah, I heard
So,
that.
there was a miscommunication, but we're good, and the investigation has now been wrapped up.
Oh, okay, so it's done. All right. Very good. All right, is there any other questions? Are there any other questions? If not, is there a motion to accept and place on file?
I'll make that motion.
We have a second. Any further discussion or questions? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Any opposed? Motion carried. Item number 11, occupancy report for the month of December of 2017. That is in your packet as well.
It's in your packet. We're moving ahead with the vacancies that we have. Just giving you a heads up, February is going to be a rough month for us. We do have quite a few people moving out for February. A lot of them are moving on to assisted living or other needs that we just cannot provide at an independent living facility. We do have a gentleman that is vacating because of noncompliance of bed bugs, which is on the bed bug report, so.
Okay.
Is there any specific questions that anybody has?
You guys are doing the best you can. And now that you don't have a head maintenance person, I'm sure it's a little bit more difficult to turn those over as quickly as you would like.
We have quite a few that are ready to go. We're
Okay.
working on that. Reed did retire, and Jeff also had a full knee replacement, so he was off for quite a few months. He was working 4-hour days for about 2 or 3 weeks, and now he is back to full-time, so.
In the interim, I know, hadn't we in the past, and I should know this, didn't we have somebody hired to assist with some of the cleaning and?
We do have
Right.
contractors, yes, for the cleaning of Mason Manor units and scattered sites.
Yeah.
Okay, so-
Painting, carpeting through HJ, so yes, we do
Right,
have a
so
lot
it's
of
not just the
contracts.
maintenance that would.
And we
So do
also
we
approve
need-
maintenance.
Gotcha.
Oh, we also approve, we have a contract for extra maintenance as well,
Yes,
right?
there's, well, yeah, we utilize
That we
Scott
can.
Warner, but yes, we did have the $10,000.
Okay.
that was
So
approved
we
for
don't need anything
maintenance.
to increase that?
Oh, okay.
I mean, you'll do it on your own if you need it?
Mhm.
Okay. All right, very good. Any other questions? Well, let's just keep working hard to get them turned around. All right, is there a motion to accept and place on file?
I'll make the motion.
I have a motion, and is there a second?
Second.
A motion and a second. Any further discussion or questions? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Number 12, housing update report.
So last year, it's weird to say that, during Christmas, I would say this was one of our best Christmas that we've had at Mason Manor, just because we've been having a lot of assistance with our holiday decorations. A lot of residents have been stepping up to volunteer and help staff out.
Mhm.
So the staff and tenant rapport has been really good. And it's just nice to see that a lot of the residents are taking pride in what they're doing to make their house, or their home
Yeah.
look better, so. And then we had a successful Christmas party. Every year we get residents a little gift from staff, so this year they all got a fleece blanket and candy.
Oh, wow.
Italian food was very
And
nice.
Olive
Yes.
Garden, yes.
Oh, wow. Very good, thank you. All right, item number, any questions? Item number 13.
Actually, could I
Yeah.
share the positive comment that
Sure.
Karen, so Karen, the administrative assistant, she had, excuse me, a pedestrian come in and was very emotional, it sounded like, about how grateful he was of how well maintained the sidewalks were. That, you know, he apparently must have trouble
Navigating.
walking around in some of the sidewalks, and he was just so pleased.
This is
how
at Mason
well-
Manor?
Yes.
Yeah. Well,
That was
you've
very
got the bus
exciting.
stop right there too in front, so that's for sure. I mean, I drive past there every day, I'm
Yep.
between where I live and downtown where my office is, and there's always somebody at that bus stop. There's-
Yeah, so that's great.
Anytime during the day.
So you actually made a point to come into the office to say
Exactly.
thank you?
Isn't that something?
Yes. Those are the good things you need to hear.
Yes.
Yes, that's right.
All right, very good. Thank you.
And then Christmas party, was it well attended? Okay, good.
We were full.
Oh,
Yep.
good, all right, yeah. Because was it last year, the year before, the tenants, I've been to to many of them, and I couldn't make it this year, so.
I think last year was pretty.
Last
full,
year
too,
was
wasn't
pretty
it?
full.
Yeah.
So it had to have been the year before.
It was pretty
Yeah.
full.
We had
Yeah.
had a dip, and then
Yeah.
we were getting back on the ride.
Good, good.
Very good. Item number 13, bed bug situation.
Please help yourself to some cookies in order of celebration.
Yay.
We just had our quarterly inspection last week. We wrapped up and we are down to 3. Of those 3, they were already treated on that week of the Friday. One tenant is being asked to vacate because of his non-compliance. Another one was a brand-new infestation that the pest control and John Sandberg, who does the canine, we caught it right away. So shouldn't be a lingering unit. And the other one was a repeat infestation, and we feel it's the unit problem. So we have now transferred this tenant to another unit.
Oh.
He has not taken any of his property from the old unit to the new unit, and we're down to bare bones of taking that unit apart and treating and moving forward, so.
So where does his furniture come from?
WGNR donated his bed.
Okay,
because of his funds, he was able to get all brand-new stuff.
Oh,
Yes, so.
that's great.
Yes.
That's normally not the case.
Exactly.
So
Yep.
that's
So, yep, I
wonderful.
worked with Independent Living, his other caseworkers through, oh, that would have been ILS, Lakeland, he has a caseworker through,
Okay.
and his payee, and we were able to get him all set up and take
Oh,
care of his
good.
move and everything, so.
Oh, good, 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 good,
Yes.
good.
How are we doing on our landmark furniture?
We still have a lot of landmark
Okay.
furniture. We did give it, donate it, or give it to the tenants that were required to dispose of furniture.
Mhm.
And if that comes up, we can definitely replace it, but we're down to 3. And the one that did have it was a bed, so we got it encased right away, and none of our
Yeah.
other furniture had to be taken out. I know, Robin, you reached out to a,
Yeah, I reached out to New Cap, who has a permanent supportive housing program that they, you know, those clients generally don't have anything. So they often try to provide them with furniture and other
Okay.
things. So I reached out to them, and they recently responded with a list of items that they could use. And I compared it to what we have, and we definitely have more than enough to share with them.
Okay.
So where are we storing our landmark?
We are renting 2 rental units,
That's right.
2 storage units. So in order to cut down on that cost a little bit, we think it would be, you know, good for us and for them to share those
Sure.
items with them and eliminate at least one of the storage units.
And the only reason I asked is on my private side, representing Village of Egg Harbor, I have a meeting with the landmark at the end of this month sometime. I don't know the date.
So tell them thank you.
Yeah, I've done it several times,
Oh.
stopped in, I'm up there all the time, so I stop in a couple times, and it's, thank you. But this is with their actual board of directors.
Okay.
Full support.
Did we do that letter for your signature?
I believe we did.
Yeah, I think.
Right, that we sent out to them?
I think so, yeah, I
Okay.
remember signing one.
Okay.
For a
I think
thank
I-
you?
Yeah,
I
'cause
think
we
I
did one
did.
for
I signed so many things, I can't, I won't go.
I said, you were signing the sign-in sheet, Bill. You were-
Yes, I signed everything.
That was my fault.
Yeah, all right, very good. All right,
I think once we get, because we will get down to 0 on this. I think once we get down to 0, we need a press release. We need
Yes.
something because.
Oh, because of the
everybody still
negative,
thinks-
yes.
Right.
You know what I mean, Mason? You know, we need a press release to say, hey, we did it. We did it. We got it
Yeah,
down.
you guys did wonderful. So
From a
kudos.
third to
Yep, kudos to
2%.
everybody.
yes, thank you. All right, anything further, otherwise we're ripe for adjournment.
And I'll make that motion.
Motion, is there a second?
I'd be thrilled to second that.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor of adjournment, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Make sure you take a cookie.
Yes, take a couple, please.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Sorry, Blake.
Oh, no problem. I
That's okay.
will,
Not-
These are easy peasy.
one more cookie.